Yes, we have already done the poem Poetry by Marianna Moore. Today we are discussing the short questions and paragraph questions of this chapter. This chapter is included in the text Litmosphere. Litmosphere is the common course text for Calcutta University first year students, degree students. Okay, we are moving on to the questions. First one, which are the useful things listed by the narrator or speaker? First short question. While we are discussing the chapter, we have already discussed these points. First one, what are the useful things listed by the speaker? Poetry, the speaker says that poetry should reveal usual and common things like a bat holding on upside down or in quest for something to eat or a wolf under a tree, a baseball fan, or a statistician. These things must be presented in a common perspective. These subjects are very common but should be presented in a new perspective. Next one, according to the point, how can one find something genuine in poetry? The poet says that while reading a poem, one can see the world and can see imaginary gardens with real roads. That means we can find genuinity in the poem, and a poet should combine simple language and genuine feelings. Then only we can enjoy genuine poetry. Next one, is the speaker impatient with half poets? Why? Yes, the poet is really impatient with half poets. The poet is annoyed with half poets because they cannot constitute genuine poetry. The poet says that they write of good subjects but remain trivial because they are not yet liberalists of the imagination. That is why they are called half poets. Next one, how does the speaker define people who are really interested in poetry? The poem says that if one is able to provide imaginary gardens with the real roads in them, then we can say that they are really interested in poetry. Fifth question, we do not admire what we cannot understand. Can you explain? Marianna Moore says that poetry should appeal to our conscious thoughts and unconscious feelings. First of all, the poet says that poetry should appeal to our conscious thoughts and unconscious feelings, and it should be simple, genuine, and emotional. Language of poetry must be precise, apt, and economical. Economical means limited words should be used. Then only we can understand real poetry. High sounding words or bombastic language or flowery language often hinder our understanding. Next one, paragraph questions. First one, on what ground does the speaker say that she is not a fan of poetry? Marianna Moore begins the poem saying that she too dislikes poetry. Poetry often seems to be like a fiddle and deals with common and simple things in life. Its language often seems ambiguous. The poet says that most of the poets use flowery language and bombastic language, and that hinder the beauty of poetry. Then the language should be symbol, and in poetry we can see ambiguous language, and the soul of poetry lies in simplicity, but high sounding words hinder the soul of poetry. Similarly, you can use common subjects, but in most of the poems we can see boring subjects or usual subjects. Even though we use usual subjects, the subjects should be presented in a new perspective. The poet says that she dislikes poetry because most of the poems are in high sounding words or bombastic language and also having ambiguity in them. That's why she says that she dislikes poetry. Second one, how does the speaker criticize high sounding interpretations. Here we have already said that high sounding interpretations lack the soul of poetry. Here you can add the short question answer, first short question, that answer, that means which are the common subjects that is to be used in poetry. That is the first short question, and you can include that short question here. And then the poet says that high sounding interpretations hinder the beauty of poetry, and it lacks the soul of poems. So we have to use, or the poet should use, simple language and the common theme that should be presented in a new perspective. Next one, what according to the poet happens when we read good poetry? When we read good poetry, things become very clear and we can perceive the real world. Ordinary things and subjects can be included in poetry but must be pictured in a different way. Then we become more generous and empathetic, which help us to avoid egoism and narrow-centrism. Then we will be able to accept the universe and its creatures. Then we must realize we are only a part of this great universe and our life become simple. Then fifth question, then you are interested in poetry. According to the speaker, which are the possible ways to analyze one's interest in poetry? When we come out of our triviality and become liberalists of imagination, we can make imaginary gardens with real roads in them. We can choose any subjects and theme for poetry, but the subjects should be presented in a new perspective. And after choosing the theme, you have to be conscious of the language of the poetry, and the language should be simple and lucid. Lucid means very simple and without having complex words. Then we have to consider the message. Every good poem has a message, that means the message of love, compassion, and appreciation. So we can say that a world without poetry is drab, dull, and boring. Then essay questions. Poetry is a manual for the readers to analyze their interest in poetry. Explain. That essay is already given. That's all today. Thank you.